Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. What is today? Today is now Thursday. So we've almost made it through the week. So if you're ever going to just, you know, go to sleep, go do your laundry, go whatever, this might be the video you duck out on. Oh, we got to pick a jury. And I hate picking juries. It's just so boring. But we can't get to the trial until we have a jury. So we have a trial, and it's not like any of the other trials that we had. It's not like any of the hearings that we have. It's not domestic relations. It's not um, DUI. Uh, okay, there might possibly be a tiny portion that might have DUI. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. It's just a tiny little portion. Um, but it's a guy who got hurt, and now he's suing for damages. So we get to see the jury trial of him trying to get damages. But I thought that there was just some videos and witnesses. I think that some of the guys in here and girls, too, I can think of right off the top of my head, um, are gonna like. They're gonna like the videos. They're gonna like the subject matter. I gave you a hint. It's putting the turtle back in the shell. I gave that hint to you yesterday. Did anybody figure out what that might possibly be? What we might possibly see here? I mean, I don't think unless you don't know, don't Google it because that sounds dirty, right? Doesn't it? Putting the turtle back in the shell. Okay, Linus, I was hoping you would know, but that's all right. You're going to. You're going to say, "Oh, I know what that means." Once we get there, but first, oh gosh, we have to pick a jury. Okay, I hate this. So we're gonna pick a jury. I missed the first part of the prosecutor picking a jury, thank God. So we're gonna go in when he's telling an imaginary story about a girl who got injured in a car accident or died or something. It's imaginary, it's not real. What he's talking about is not the trial. So I already know that I said this is not the trial. And as soon as he starts talking, the comments are gonna come like, oh my God, is this a trial about so what I'm gonna do is as soon as he says what he says, I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna say, "This is not the trial," because nobody listens to me at the beginning except you guys. I think they fast forward it, they forget everything, and then they ask me, "Oh my God, why did you leave chat in that?" Well, I told you I was going to. It's the whole point. Okay, listen, we're never gonna get this jury picked unless we press play and breathe through it, and then tomorrow will be better. Don't worry, we're gonna end with Fleischer, so we'll have some stuff. Or we could just skip the whole trial. We could just skip the whole picking the jury. Oh, no, 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 no. Here we go.
Imagine her on prom night. Imagine her the first time she's intimate with a boy. Imagine her emotional feelings on her wedding night. Does that, I know it's different than what we're talking about, but I mean, sometimes sometimes the physical pain and suffering is short term, but the emotional goes on forever. Does that make sense? Okay. Hopefully that helps illustrate it a little bit.
Oh my God. Are we talking about a girl that was injured? Oh my gosh. No, this is so sad. That was imaginary. That's not what we're here for. Pay attention. That's just a story he told. Also, this is Christofino's courtroom. So if you don't remember Christofino, I love Judge Christofino. When you when you watch his dockets, the sound separates from the audio. So like every 5 minutes, I'm going to go into this trial and I'm going to pop the audio back where it belongs. And I'm going to do that in a couple different ways. So sometimes you might hear people talking real fast for a minute, or not a minute, just like 2 seconds. Um, Sometimes the feed cuts and I have to cut that whole portion out. So when you see those little things, it's just to get the video to sync, which trust me is better for you.
Uh, but like you said, there's no formula, right? So let me ask the rest of the group. I mean, is there anybody who thinks that I have had jurors tell me we would never award $1 for emotional pain and suffering? Does anybody feel that way? If you do, please let me know. Okay.
Thank you, Casey.
So, Paul, we'll come back to you for a minute. What are your thoughts on that? Monetary damages for things like physical and emotional pain and suffering.
I more or less agree with. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but it all makes sense. You know, once you weigh the presentation you're going to give us, would more or less help my kind of decision.
Yeah. Sure, and that makes sense. Kevin, your thoughts on it?
I agree with that sentiment. If you show us something that justifies that action, I wouldn't have issue with it.
Okay. Sir, I'm sorry. How do I pronounce your name?
You're welcome to call me Nick if you wish.
Nick.
Yes.
I will. Thank you, Nick. What do you think about that, Nick?
No, I understand. After hearing the argument, I make a decision on that.
Okay. All right. And Peter?
I agree with that also.
Okay. Brian? I'm going to come down and ask each one of you this because it's such an important question for me. Lisa? Okay. Emily, your thoughts on it? All right. Diane? Okay. Debbie?
I feel that money can really take away pain and suffering, the emotional,
Yeah.
it's going to stay, whether or not you're paying for it, compensated in that way.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think the point of, I think the reason why we allow for a jury to award monetary damages for emotional, even physical, but emotional pain and suffering is because it's an emotional suffering you would not have had but for the fact that somebody else disregarded a turn signal or forgot to put the anti-tip device on.
Is that the homeowner's responsibility, the construction?
Well,
or was
it was
Anti-tip device, I assume. And you guys can all tell me if I'm wrong because I'm down for that. Is for like a Mack truck or an SUV, or so that when they go around corners they don't tip over. I'm guessing it's a um an 18-wheeler. I'm guessing. However, I am always anti-tip. Tip your servers, people.
rental. So the landlord was also a defendant.
I was going to say, it just seems like
Yeah.
we have to take some personal responsibility too. For the things that happen to us.
We do, but what if it's absolutely not your fault?
I'm just saying, I know that we probably never have adult children. We probably never had one anti-tip device anywhere in our home.
Yeah.
We just took responsibility for not letting our kids be.
Understood. No, absolutely. And that was an issue. That was an issue in that case, although I didn't think a jury was going to hold that little girl responsible for her mom being a bit of a bad parent. Yeah.
It's just an unfortunate issue.
It was. But let's kind of change the facts. Let's say the little girl was a passenger in a car going northbound on State Road 13 on a green light, and somebody turns left in front of them at County Road 40, and she has those same burns. Not her fault. Not the driver of her car's fault. Does that change your opinion or your thought at all?
I guess it's just it's emotional though that we're trying to compensate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I understand pain and suffering. I understand, physical, but I guess I just don't see that as being as high on monetary equivalency of paying someone for the pain that they're going to be feeling emotionally.
Okay. And that's fair. That's fair. You know, these are tough discussions. I mean, sometimes I'm standing in front of a jury and I'm, I don't want to say conditioning them, but I'm prefacing that at the end of the case, I'm asking them to award money for my dead spouse, my client's dead spouse or dead child. It's tough, but I appreciate it. No,
There is no dead spouse here. There is no dead child here. This is just an injury.
so thank you. Joseph, we talked a little bit about it, but what are your thoughts? I mean, generally emotional, like monetary damages for physical and emotional pain and suffering.
You mentioned the juror who said I would never pay $1.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not categorical on it.
Okay.
I would have to hear the facts. I would just think, you know, the standards that I would apply.
Understood. Okay. Okay. Joshua, your thoughts about that?
I agree with what Joseph said.
Okay. All right. Carly?
I agree with what Debbie, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes emotional can be worse than physical.
Yeah.
Because it can stay with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Okay. Ann, your thoughts on that?
I feel all the damages could be awarded.
And Stephen?
Would you restate the question?
Yeah. What are your thoughts just in general about the idea of awarding damages for physical and emotional pain and suffering?
If convinced it was appropriate, I would agree with that.
Okay. So you need to hear the evidence, right?
My bosses owe me money.
And I understand you guys have not heard any evidence in this case, so I appreciate it.
Oh, no. No. We heard enough. We're ready to roll. Guilty. Give him the money.
Is there anybody who just doesn't think that they could sit through 2 days of trial? We should be done tomorrow. That's great. We're not arguing about who's at fault. The defendant admitted a couple months ago that this is their fault. We're just talking about monetary damages that Jeremiah is entitled to. Is there anybody who doesn't think they could sit for a day and a half, 2 days and listen and help us work this out?
Will there be
And if you have
food?
any hesitations at all, please raise your
Is there
hand.
any beer?
Seeing no hands. All right. Thank you. All right. I've been talking for a long time. I'm going to kind of cut through a little bit of this. Is there anybody here who owns a business or has owned a business? Okay. All right. So go to Peter. Did you have employees?
Yes.
Okay. So in Indiana, there's something called respondeat superior. It means that if your employer is negligent and causes a car wreck, it's not the employee who's actually responsible. It's actually the employer if the person's acting within the scope of their employment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the liability would fall on the company.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're going to see in this case, even though Mr. Holland was the one who failed to yield, causing this wreck, RGB Sales is the defendant. Does anybody have any questions about? I was going to go through a whole line of questions. Does anybody have any questions about that? So it's, we're not going to be asking you to award any money against this poor employee driver. Not that he's poor, but this employee. I didn't mean it that way. Okay. Do any of you know anybody who, on a daily basis, either yourselves, loved one, close friend, lives with some sort of limiting injury or injury that causes them to change how they do their things on a daily basis? Okay, we have a few. Let's go to Lisa first. Is it something that you're okay talking about? Yeah. Who is it and what is it?
Myself.
Okay, understood.
I was in a jury trial once, and I'm telling you, I fought with every single fiber of my being to stay awake. It was so boring. They were reading some comment from this guy from jail into the record in a monotone voice for like 4 hours. And it was just a boat, like a boat hit another boat. And they had damages. And this guy in jail had to give testimony, but he wasn't allowed to come. And we can't give alcohol to jury members. We can't, because I would have been passed out. One sip And do you know how traumatizing it would be for me to pass out over one sip of alcohol? That would have been trauma for the rest of my life. I would never be able to look myself in the mirror ever, ever, ever again. So, yeah, nope. No, we got to give them cocaine. Yep. Don't give people cocaine. Don't do cocaine.
I was in a car accident
Okay.
and I was driving, for a cab company in Elkhart and I was rear-ended and it blew out my back in 3 places.
Okay. What all kinds of treatment did you have to have for that?
Well, so far I've had 2 surgeries, looking at a third. And there's a lot of, other things you can't do anymore, like cleaning, something so simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's excruciating.
I'm sorry to hear that. How long ago did that happen?
The accident itself was in 2018.
Okay. Okay. So in your treatment, did you go through the series where, they tried conservative treatment, they tried physical therapy, then maybe they tried some spinal injections, and you'd feel better some days and worse some days, but ultimately needed surgery? Okay.
Said a yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Is that a
Yes,
yes?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Knowing you've been through that, and not to argue this case, but and I think it's important in this case, I think if you're picked for this jury, what you're going to hear is,
Yeah, to us, because we're like, I don't know what we are. I'm trying to find a word that's not offensive, but there is none. We are the crazy people who who watches courts all day. Well, but I was 18 during this jury trial, and I was not in the mood to sit and listen to this monotone testimony.
that's similar to what Jeremiah's gone through, except for it's his neck, not his back. Conservative treatment, trying physical therapy, trying injections, trying everything to avoid surgery, but ultimately needing a surgery. Is there anything about the fact that you've been through that you think would make you biased towards Jeremiah?
See, the audio is separating, but I'll bump it back. Don't worry.
No, I think that it would, having been through it myself, there would be a little bit more compassion for it.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's fair. So if you don't mind, what kinds of things give you problems on a daily basis these days?
Picking something up off the floor. I a lot of times have to use grippers instead of being local to
The floor is very far away.
bend over to the floor.
Very far away.
Is there any part of your life this hasn't affected?
No, not really.
But you haven't stopped living your life, right?
Oh, no.
Do the best you can?
That's right.
Okay. I think that's all any of us can do, right? Do the best we can under the circumstances. Well, and I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. Who else has, themselves or know somebody with a limiting injury? Yeah, Joseph. Is this something you're okay talking about? Sure.
Well, I think I have to honestly disclose this. It's nothing as bad as Lisa's injury, but my wife has a chronic fatigue problem.
Okay.
That started about 5 years ago.
Okay.
She has pain in her joints and has low energy and has to stop doing things we can't. We used to walk in the woods and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that. So thank you. I'm assuming that wasn't caused by some sort of accident. That was just,
right.
Yeah, just something that,
I don't know what the cause.
Yeah, I don't know what the cause is.
It hasn't been diagnosed.
Yeah.
Everything she does.
Yeah. When we were talking earlier kind of about,
Kids, get my glasses. Kids. Kids, there's a $10 bill on the floor. Can you come pick that up? Oh, and while you're down there, can you give me my glasses? Stupid floor.
the emotional pain and suffering, does that cause you some emotional distress? Yeah. I know there's a reason why men die 10 years younger than women on average statistically, because we hold things in, we don't go to the doctor. But does that cause you some emotional pain and suffering? Okay.
Yes.
All right. And thank you for sharing. I'm sorry to hear that, truly. Anybody, and I think was it Carly? Is it something you're comfortable talking about?
Yeah, so just about ever since I've been in middle school, my mom has just been in honestly terrible health. She can't do a whole lot anymore. She has, I don't even know if I can name everything. She has like 2 brain tumors, an autoimmune disease, like blood sugar around
Okay.
500 constantly. She can't walk half the time. She can't drive and hasn't been able to drive for like 10 years or something.
Okay.
It's honestly like a different person.
All right. I'm sorry to hear that. I can't really imagine. I mean, I can't imagine how that affects the family. I had a mom who passed away from COPD, lifelong smoker. In the last 6 years of her life, it was, rough. So I get it. And that's why, if you're picked for this jury, it's kind of stories like these. The last 3 we heard is kind of my mindset on emotional pain and suffering. Sometimes it's worse than the physical, but that's just what I think. All right, I'm going to get off of that topic. I appreciate you all telling those stories to me. I'm going to go, Peter, I'm going to come back to you on this one. So I hear this all the time. I've tried jury trials all over the state. And when I come to a county like Elkhart, here's what I hear. You don't want to try your case in Elkhart County. Elkhart County, they're not going to award you a fair amount of money. It's conservative. It's a smaller county, relatively speaking. You'd much rather be in Indianapolis or Chicago or LA or Miami. So let me ask you this, Peter. Do you think somebody's life, somebody's pain and suffering is worth less in Elkhart County than it would be in Indianapolis or Chicago or Miami?
No.
Okay.
No matter where you're at, your life is the same value.
Yeah. Okay. Does everybody agree with that?
No. Listen, there's one person I know of who has much less value on this earth than me. Boy, I wish he was here.
All right. This may seem like a silly question, but it's an important question for me to ask you guys. Have any of you ever hit a deer with your car? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5. Have any of you ever had to have a surgery after hitting a deer with your car? Surgery on your body, not having your car fixed. No? Were any of you injured when you hit the deer? I see all heads nodding no. Okay, thank you. All right. Diane, I'm going to come to you, and this is going to be one of my last questions. I'm going to pick on you one more time. All right?
I didn't even notice that.
So I don't have any kids. My wife and I don't have any kids. We tried, never happened. But thankfully, I have a ton of nieces and nephews. All right. So I was an athlete. I played baseball in high school, played baseball in college. And I love playing baseball and softball with my nieces and nephews. Just love it. So let me ask you this question. Let's say, oddly enough, my nieces were better athletes than my nephews. So I guess I shouldn't say oddly enough. I don't mean that in a sexist way. So I hope nobody took offense to that. But I had a couple really athletic nieces. And I'm originally from outside of Richmond, Indiana. I grew up on a farm. My sister and her husband live in Richmond. And they've got 3 daughters, all 3 very athletic. And I used to go over and play softball with them in their backyard all the time when they were little. They're all out of college and married now. So, but anyway, let's say I was back in the early 2000s. I go over and I pitch the ball to my oldest niece. She hits the ball. She hits it over their fence, straight into the plate glass window of the neighbor. What should we do?
Guess what? We missed this part because Judge Cristofino cuts it out. Yay, Judge. Yay, Judge. We don't know who's going to be on this jury, but this is what we have to work with. Thank you, Judge. Mwah.
We should go to the neighbor's home, tell them we are at fault for smashing their window.
Okay.
And asked, how would we compensate this?
Okay. All right. Does everybody agree with that? Right? Take responsibility, right? And we should do it right away, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
No, I blame Fozzie, of course.
So you agree we should replace the window?
I do agree. That's why we have.
Yeah, with
insurance.
saran wrap,
Okay.
duct tape.
What if I walk over and I say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we broke your window, but you know, we couldn't see that the window was there. We didn't know your window was there. Hey, not our fault. Well, I mean, it's our fault, but we're not really going to take responsibility because we didn't know you had a window right there. What do you think about that?
I think that's very wrong.
Okay. Joseph, I'm going to come to you for this next question. What if me being the lawyer I am, I do the right thing, I grab my niece by the hand, we walk over, knock on the door, hey, we're so sorry we broke your window. We'll fix it. And the homeowner says, no problem, I'll get an estimate and bring you the bill. So they get an estimate for $500 and bring me the bill. And I look at the estimate and I go, whoa, wait a minute. I've been coming to my sister's house for 5 years and I've seen that window 100 times and it had a little crack up in it. Now,
I don't know what is going on. Someone is trolling me because I spent like hours fixing this audio. And it was dead on. And for the last, I don't know how many minutes, it's been off. I know it gets better because I sat here and I inserted frames and I slowed down and
it kept the wind out, it kept the rain out, it kept the leaves out, it kept the snow out in the wintertime. But that window had a little crack in it. I'm not paying $500 to replace that window. What do you think about that, Joseph?
That does not strike me as right.
Okay.
The window is, you can't buy a cracked window to replace it. So the one that is going to have to be purchased is new.
Okay.
That's what you should be responsible for replacing.
Does anybody disagree with Joseph? I mean, reasonable people can differ. Does anybody disagree? I agree with Joseph. Does anybody disagree? Okay. Nick, what do you think about that?
No, it makes sense.
Okay.
You cannot buy the cracked window.
Yeah. Yeah. And even though it was cracked, it had a little crack in it. It wasn't causing any problems, right?
I got so bored I forgot there was chat over there.
All right. Okay. Before I finish up, do any of you have any questions for me? I've sat here and asked you questions for an hour or so. Nothing? Anything? It's like your one chance? Okay. All right. After listening to my rambling questions, do any of you have any concerns
me of the
that,
judge.
based upon my general questions, that you can't sit on this jury and listen and help us make a decision, or you'd have any hesitation or reservations about doing so? And if you do, you can raise your hand. Because again, we're looking for 6 people.
My car is held together by bubble gum. It's horrible.
People who who probably don't want to be here, but at least are willing to listen to us. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, those are all the questions I have for you. If you're picked for this jury, bear with me. You would never have to listen to me talk this long again, so that'll be a plus. If you're picked, we'll be seeing you for the next day and a half. If not, though, if anybody who's not picked for the jury, I'd like to go back to my original question.
You're
Who
losers.
doesn't want to be here, and how important it is for y'all to be here. We do appreciate the fact that you've taken time out of your lives, and good luck. And if you're picked, we'll see you for the next day and a half. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps.
So I have this piece of crap little Mazda that is falling apart left and right and center. So when I drive at night, I have a fishing pole. It's a retractable fishing pole. So it's only like, I don't know, 18 inches long, right? And I keep that by my driver's side because my taillights will go out every once in a while, and I'll take my fishing pole and I'll have to bang under under the front, turn my taillights back on. Um, I mean, I got thrown into neutral when I'm stopped because it keeps getting louder and louder and shaking, shaking, shaking. But but I've been driving this. I love driving this car. This car is fast and it's tiny and it's light and I can zip in and out and do things. So, you know, I figured I would be a responsible adult. And my mother was buying a new car. So I purchased her old car off of her. It was a Cadillac, a 2010 Cadillac. So I have this 2010 Cadillac out front and I have my crappy Mazda. Well, the Cadillac keeps breaking down everywhere. The Cadillac keeps breaking down. And let me tell you, if you need to fix something in the Cadillac, you need a third job, a second and a third job. If I need to fix something in my Mazda, I could basically trade for a bag of Doritos or something for a spare part. It's great. So I have this white Cadillac that I make my son drive, and I get this crappy Mazda that I just feel so good driving. It has real dark tinted windows, which is absolutely not legal, but they've never busted me for that yet, and I'm keeping it because I'm very shy, people. I'm very shy. I need my tinted windows. I'll tell them I have glaucoma.
Ladies and gentlemen of the
I
prospective
might have
panel,
glaucoma. I'm old.
if you want a morning break now, I will give you one. If you can wait, I would guess about another hour or so,
I will not be here.
or less than that. We will complete round one. Anybody need a break right now? We've got one up, so let's go ahead and take. We'll take.
No, Judge.
No
Push through it.
apologies. It's the morning. It's the morning. I get it. We'll take a short break. I have to admonish you before we do that. When we come back in, Ms. Pollock will do round one for the defense of voir dire. You are all prospective jurors in this case. I must tell you now, I'm going to repeat this again each time you're permitted to separate. Generally, you should not express any opinion
Just
about the
grab a
case
jug
before it is
and let it
submitted
go.
to you for
Stay where
deliberation.
you are, though.
However, you are permitted to discuss the evidence presented in this case among yourselves in the jury room during recesses from trial. There's been no evidence presented, so there is nothing for you to discuss at this time. All jurors and auditors
We've
must
already
be
rolled.
present during these discussions, and you must reserve judgment about the outcome of the case till your deliberations begin. You're admonished that you may not discuss the facts
See,
of the
I
case
fixed it.
with anyone other than your fellow jurors. You may not listen to discussions among or receive information from other people about the case. You may not listen, you may not discuss this case with me, the lawyers, the parties, or with any of the witnesses, members of the media, or anyone else. This includes posting information, text messaging, email, internet chat rooms, blogs, or social websites. You should not listen to, read, or watch anything about the case from any source. You may not investigate the case, conduct experiments, or attempt to gain any specialized knowledge about the case outside the courtroom, and it is highly improper for you to do so. You're to consider and decide this case only upon the evidence received during the course of the trial in the courtroom, not from any outside source. You're not permitted to use electronic devices while in attendance at trial, during discussion, or during deliberations unless specifically authorized by the court. This will be your morning break. We will get you back in here as soon as you are ready. You'll be in charge of the bailiff. Everybody stand, please. Now, exiting. So, Emily, you're going to lead the first row out. Diane, you will lead the second row out following them. And then we will have, I don't know who is on closest to the wall over here. You will follow after that. And when you come back in, you will come back into the same seats you're in right now.
I worked in an office once where the bathroom was right at the front of the office. Like, there was my chair, and then right around the corner was the bathroom. And my chair like sat against the wall, and the owners were up here. All of the clients were up here in the bathroom. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Did you like how like the last 4 words of that the audio was saying? Oh yeah. Damn it.
Bailiff, please close the door behind you.
So if you do not remember this judge, Michael Cristofino is very, very, out of all the judges I watch, the one that goes to only the law for every decision. He doesn't make a decision based on feelings and thoughts and opinions, and you wouldn't go to him and say that I didn't take my drug class because I didn't have any money. There's nothing in the law book that says you have to have enough money. You have to do this. So he has um, the same punishment for crimes. So if you go in front of him and you're on a bond violation, I mean, you get to talk, you get to say your piece, but it doesn't matter. He has what he's going to do to you. He already knows the sentence before he starts, because everything he does is within the law and what the law says. So when these attorneys try to talk to him, they had better come with the law. They had better start with per code 806 of the Indiana state, blah blah blah. She can't do that, because if they just say, she can't do that, she can't. He's not. Nope. He just won't even listen. He'll say, "Okay, overruled." So that's the way he is, and he talks about it a lot. How he talks about the law all the time. That's all he's going to talk about. So let's see what he says here. Something about the law, I bet.
Mr. Phelps, any record you need to make?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Pollock, any record?
No, Your Honor.
We're in recess. As soon as they let me know that they're done, I'll get y'all back in here.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That was real legally.
Attorneys Karen Pollock, and also by their representative, Aaron Rink, and also by their paralegal, Zipporah Morris. We have the jury out still, and this is the morning break. Several matters have come to the court's attention, so let's start with this first. Ms. Pollock had raised a question about some names that were not on the list. For the record, juror 3954, Devyaban Patel, and was a no-show. Juror 1165, Adam Taylor, his mail was returned. Now, juror 2973, Jane George, was excused by the court.
I don't know what you're
for a
talking about,
medical reason.
Fozzie. I can't read that. My
Juror
glasses are off.
1748, Nathaniel Weber, was excused by the court for a required employer-related educational reason. And juror 19014, Frederick Weber, was excused by the court for travel
Thank you, Fozzie.
reasons.
So Fozzie tried to help with my internet by sending me a mesh Wi-Fi system. I do have it partially installed, Fozzie. Partially installed. I need a few more pieces of hardware. I'm gonna go and get those today, and then. But I'm on my Wi-Fi right now, so partially installed. It should be better today than it was yesterday. It did boost it ridiculously. I did a speed test and I can't remember what it was, but my jaw went, "Whoa." Thank you, Fozzie. Thank you for that. I'll get it fully installed as soon as I can. So the bumping and the cutting and the freezing, that's him. That's not my
In addition,
connection. My connection's good.
juror 399.
I don't have the hardware to fully install it. I don't have it. I don't have enough parts to install it because you have to plug everything into something. And I don't have the something for everything to plug into. I have the something for one to plug. Well, I have two plugged in right now, but one is not connecting. So I have one of the mesh. The mesh is working with the two. I just can't connect to it. But I need another Ethernet cord. I need a router because I have a hub here, which would have worked fine. I lost the dang power cord to my hub. So I have to go buy more parts. That's what partially installed means.
Nine six. Zachary Worthman advised my bailiff that he is related to Aaron Rink and they went to school together. I don't know whether that's true or not. If he gets into the jury box, you all may question him as you see fit.
I can. I'm
One
talking to
other
get through it.
matter that I'm disclosing to everybody,
I hate picking
and I should have
juries.
done this before, and I apologize. When I tell you why I didn't think of this, I didn't really think of this until the juror brought this question up. I too know Aaron Rink. I know his family more than I know him. I have to be candid with all of you. I didn't know he had anything to do with RGB Sales LLC until he showed up in court this morning. I didn't consider it to be a conflict at all. I think the closest that I recall that we've had any association would be attending perhaps the Ag Society banquet, which I think I've been to twice over the last 10 years, both times when I was running for office, I might add, and fair banquets, along with 150 other people. And we did not sit at the same table. I don't think we've ever been out socially. I know the family better than I know Aaron. I'm disclosing that. This does not, I want to be clear on this because we've just had some new law come down on this. I want to be clear on this. This is not a mandatory disqualification under any set of circumstances. It would be totally a discretionary disqualification, which I have to tell you, I almost never find a discretionary disqualification because in Elkhart County, if I did that, folks, maybe perhaps I should consider doing that, and then my workload would. I mean, I just don't, and I think I don't know that council all know this, but you should know this and hear this. Unless it's my children or now my grandchildren, everybody else is on just a realm out there of another person. I don't pay attention to any of it. All I do is try to know the law and apply the law to the facts.
Yes, you do.
So with that, ready to get started, Mr. Phelps?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Pollack?
Miss Pollock, we see a lot. I don't know if we've ever seen Mr. Phelps before.
Would you bring the prospective jurors in, please? Thanks. And Ms. Pollack, I took a break because two of them that are in the box, there were some out in the gallery also, but two of them in the box needed a bathroom break. They just, I've gotten pretty good at reading jurors when they have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's that panic look on their face.
Not want to deprive them of their bathroom break.
It will be great on time, Your Honor.
Let's get through this and we'll see. We may break for lunch. Does that fit in with where you'd have your first witness?
It will, yeah.
And we may go ahead and do preliminaries. We'll talk about openings. We'll see where we're going to stop at things.
We've
Because
almost
Goshen
made
gets
it.
to be tricky at lunchtime.
We're almost done with jury. Yay, I'm so excited.
I'm not gonna. Unless my text him last night.
Okay, cool.
Teddy Grahams.
And granola bars. Almonds. I have
They said
almonds.
Teddy Grahams. I had Teddy Grahams right here. I don't anymore because I live with other people, but I had them for a little bit.
Dave. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
I hate picking juries. Thank you, Louise. Thank you. I love Teddy Grahams. When you dip them in
You may
peanut
be
butter.
seated.
Yeah.
Welcome back, my respective jurors. When we recessed, we had just completed voir dire examination by the plaintiff through Mr. Phelps. The defense will now complete round one. Ms. Pollock, voir dire, please.
Oh, I forgot we had
Good
her whole
morning,
one.
everyone. I was hoping I'd be able to say good morning and not good afternoon. So I made it by about 45 minutes. So I'll try to be brave. I practice law in Indianapolis, like Mr. Phelps. And like Mr. Phelps, I try cases all over the state. But apparently I run in different circles than Mr. Phelps because I've never been told I couldn't get a fair amount of money from an outcome jury. And that's what we're going to ask you to do at the close of the evidence tomorrow. We're going to ask you to award a fair amount of money to Mr. Jackson for their injuries our driver caused. And we came in here, we did half your job for you. We came in here and admitted liability. Like, sorry, our bad. Mr. Holland took a turn. He thought he had time, he didn't. And we're going to ask you to award a fair amount of damages. And I think you will do that. And I think you can do that. And that's what we expect. What we don't want you to do is award damages that we don't owe him. And that's what this trial is going to be about. You heard about this proverbial broken window, and the implication is we won't pay for it. We did the damage and we won't pay for it. But let me ask you this. If you broke a window and you went over to your neighbor's house and you said, I broke your window, sorry, get a estimate for replacing it and we'll pay for it because you owe it, because you did break the window, right? So what if they give you a really, really big bill and you're like, well, that's not how much what broken window cost? And they're like, well, you broke my window, so I got to replace it, and I want all the windows to match, so I'm going to replace all the windows in the house. So pay for it. I mean, you guys think that's what you owe? Is that fair? Right? I mean, you owe what you owe. You owe what the damage you caused, right? Okay, so everyone's okay with that. You think it'd be fair to pay for the broken window, but not for all new windows in the house or a paint job or new siding. Okay? All right.
Legal for you, just for you. I'm going to skip something very annoying later, only because I know it'll drive you crazy. So we're just not going to do it. We're going to do a tiny little piece of the smoke detector, and then we're going to cut that whole piece right out, just for you.
There was some talk about personal responsibility when Mr. Phelps was talking to you. And that's another thing that I think is going to be important in this case. Personal responsibility. Ms. Ward, you were first name's only Lisa, I'm sorry. Lisa, you were in an accident. Sounds like it was horrible. You were badly injured. did you feel that you were personally responsible to do everything you could to try to get better? Or tell me how that worked, a course of treatment and your surgeries and such.
Well, it started out, they wanted to take and put me through physical therapy first.
Okay.
Of course, with the insurance companies, there's all the steps that you have to take. And so we were going through all the motions, and that's when they determined that the injections that I was receiving was not going to take and help the damage.
Did you end up going through physical therapy?
After my surgery.
Oh, after surgery, okay.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time, that, in this case, you'll hear that Mr. Jackson went to some physical therapy for a few weeks after the accident. And then he declared that he was fine, and he stopped treating for many months. Was there ever a time when you went, I'm good now. My pain is 0. I feel great. It's all good. I'm going to go back to my life.
Oh, no.
You didn't get to that point. Okay.
Break boxes,
How do y'all
not
feel
legs.
about that? If the evidence shows that there was a big gap in time from when he declared himself to be fine and stopped treating and went back to his very active lifestyle, jiu-jitsu and such, other things you'll hear about, and then 3 years later ended up having surgery. Do you have an opinion, or you want to hear the evidence about whether that may or may not be related to this accident? Everyone agree they need to hear what the evidence is, and maybe this surgery didn't have anything to do with the accident, but you need to hear the evidence. And you all understand, and the judge told you, he's got to prove it's related to the accident before you can award a fair amount of money that RGB will have to pay. Everyone okay with that? He's got to prove this. Now, let me ask you this. If he doesn't prove that, and as we believe, you look at the evidence and you go, he was done treating after a few weeks and then he was fine. So that's how much they owe. Are you guys going to be okay? There will be testimony that he went through a neck surgery in 2019, 3 years after this accident, incurred a lot of expenses, lost some work, had a lot of expenses. If you don't think he proved they were related to this accident, you guys going to be able to turn him out of here without compensation for that part of the damages. Can everyone do that? And go, yeah, I get that you have this much in medical bills, but this is all the defendant owes you. Because RGB Sales is only responsible for up to when you stop treating. Everyone can live with themselves, look themselves in the mirror if they do that. If they send him out of here with a lot less money than he's going to ask for at the end of the trial. Yeah, you're all right? Okay. You were asked, and I was having trouble seeing because the way this court was set up, I couldn't see some of you over here. I couldn't see you guys, so I couldn't tell who was raising their hands. Some of you hit deer. You had hit a deer, Diane, yes? I did. Okay, and you did not require surgery after it. Let me ask you this. Did you go to the emergency room and complain to the doctor that you were sore and stiff from hitting the deer?
I did not.
Okay, so you were just not injured at all. You were very lucky.
No injuries.
Who else hit the deer? People are, okay, the 3 of you. Did any of you need to seek medical treatment? No. Okay, so you just were lucky you weren't hurt. You weren't hurt. Okay, very good. I want to ask you some names by you. Mr. Rink is my vice president of RGB Sales. He's the owner, one of the owners. The other owner is Tyson Kritzman. Does anyone know Tyson Kritzman? All right. Anybody know? I'm going to read you some witness names that the plaintiff is going to call here in his case in chief. Want to know if you know any of these witnesses. Toby Champion. Okay. Adam Wright. Dale McCrae. I thought Goshen was a small town. Okay. Darren Longnecker. All right. Very good. Let me ask you this. The intersection where this accident occurred, State Road 13 and County Road 40 in Elkhart County. Is anyone familiar with that location? Oh, see? Okay, many of you. All right. You go through it all the time?
No.
Okay. Ever known it to be a problem intersection? Is there a situation that you always thought, well, that's dangerous?
No.
Okay. All right. No stoplights, no stop signs, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Just open and it is what it is. All right. Anybody else have a different opinion about that intersection? Yeah, it's dangerous. I've had an accident there.
There's 2 stop signs for County Road 40.
For which?
County Road 40.
County Road 40. Okay. And if they were traveling on State Road 13 and our driver turned left in front of Mr. Jackson,
No.
He didn't disregard a stop sign. He didn't run a red light. He just miscalculated. So everyone is No one's mad about that. Everyone's just like, all right, it is what it is. We came in here, we're
There's
like,
no
sorry,
window.
our bad. All right, let's see. I'm gonna try to be brief because you guys have been very patient this morning, and I don't wanna. And the other thing is, with going second, most of my questions have already been asked, so I don't want to repeat myself. Nobody knows anyone who works at RGB Sales or is in the excavating business or no anything like that. Okay. I'm trying to think who I didn't hear much from. Emily, I didn't hear much from you. What do you think about this? What you're hearing, and there was a car accident. You heard it was horrific. You'll hear that both people got themselves out of their cars, walked away from it. Nobody left in an ambulance. I mean, the cars were terribly damaged. You'll see pictures. Our truck ended up on its side. So I guess that's a horrific accident. But
well, when it comes to the pain aspect, it being 3 years later,
Yep.
I'm kind of curious about that.
Okay.
Due to the fact that I do know that some of that pain might not come back until like maybe you move a certain way or something might happen that'll trigger that pain response that had occurred prior. So I'd like to hear more about that, what led up to the 3-year difference.
Fair enough. Okay. Anybody, do you have medical training? You're a pharmacy tech, correct? You're a pharmacy tech. So that requires medical training, yes?
A little bit, but not a lot.
All right. Anybody have medical training? Anybody know anything about medical conditions or?
What? What did she just say? Pharmacy techs, a little bit of medical training, but not a lot? Is that true? That's scary. I did not know that.
Okay. All right.
Shout out to every single pharmacy tech out there. I know your jobs are terrible right now. I know. I in no way am want to bash a pharmacy tech because they always have long lines and grumpy people and sick people, and they have to deal with people who are just not at their best every single day. But I thought that they would know, don't mix this drug with this drug. I guess that's what the pharmacist gets paid for.
I'm trying to skip over everything I crossed out when Mr. Phelps asked it. All right, so no one here, I think he asked, no one engages in martial arts. Is anyone familiar with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu centers? Yes. Kevin, tell me what your affiliate, what do you know?
MMA, I've watched a lot, and I know there's
MMA.
in Elkhart, they have a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay. Any affiliation with it? You know anyone who goes there, teaches there, takes lessons there? No. Okay. And you don't engage in martial arts, or do you?
Not commonly.
Okay.
Some training at work is similar.
Oh, tell me about that.
I'm a detective at the sheriff's office.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, yeah. They train you guys.
Yeah. But
So.
they don't train us, but we learn that type of stuff.
Okay.
Jess.
And what do you know about through your
Jess,
training? What do you know about the
joking?
involvement of the neck in this type of activity?
I'm not sure exactly
You are
what you're asking.
I mean, does the neck?
Medical
Is there anything you're
secretary.
supposed to be doing with your neck? Are you tucking your neck? Are you tucking your neck?
Protecting.
Protecting your neck. Okay. And how do you do that? How do you protect your neck in this in jiu-jitsu?
It would kind of depend on the circumstances.
Okay.
If somebody's trying to put you in a chokehold or something, you would try to avoid that.
Because the chokehold's a pretty common hold in jiu-jitsu, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then, Stephen,
Yeah,
what do you know about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu?
there's a podcaster that I listen to who is a jujitsu guy, so I'm familiar with it from the podcast.
Okay. And so have you ever been to inside a studio? Do you know any of the moves or no? Okay. So you listen to a guy talk about jiu-jitsu on the radio?
Usually it comes up.
Okay. Okay.
That's what he.
Oh, so the podcast is not about jiu-jitsu. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So like, that'd be a little hard to follow, I would think, if you couldn't see. Okay. There will be testimony that Mr. Jackson worked at Forest River RV for many years. Does anyone have any association with that company? Oh, lots of people. All right, Carly, tell me what you know about that.
I currently work in the warranty department.
Oh, you work there now? Okay. Did you know Mr. Jackson? He worked there for many years. Okay. How long have you worked there?
I worked there less than a year, but my dad has worked in RVs for over 20.
Okay. And what does he do there?
My dad is an assistant plant manager.
And do you know anything about how physical the work is there on the production line? Very physical? Okay, requires a lot of strength, a lot of, yeah, okay. Has that been hard? Did your dad do that work himself? He did actually production work? He had to do the heavy lifting and the, yeah.
For like 20 years.
Okay, and was that hard on his body?
He has plenty of back, like knee, leg problems now.
And does he treat for that or does he just put up with it?
Both.
Yeah. All right, Ryan? Yeah.
My company sells some products to Forest River, and I have a very close friend who works at Forest River.
Okay, and how long has he worked there or she?
He's been there for like 4 or 5 years now.
Have you ever heard the name Jeremiah Jackson from him or do you know if he knows him? Okay. Do you know, is he on the line? Is he on the production line?
He's in the industry.
Okay. And then who else raised their hand? Oh, Emily.
My father used to work there, actually.
And how long did he work there?
He worked there for, I think, 3 years, but he's been doing factory work his whole life, so I know how strenuous it can be on the body.
Okay.
Especially somebody who, he has had past medical issues, so, yeah, I know it can be difficult on the body, including that as well.
And what kind of aches and pains has your dad incurred as a result of that kind of work?
Mostly knee stuff, and some back pain from heavy lifting for a long time.
Does he treat for it or just tolerate it?
Oh, no, he treats for it, because he also has rheumatoid arthritis, so he treats for a little bit of everything.
And does he treat with a doctor or chiropractor or what all?
A doctor. He has like a line of doctors.
Was someone in the back row, if besides Carly, that had a fort? Yes.
My old job, we used to send out furniture to Forest River.
Okay. Ever been inside the plant? Know anything about the kind of work they do? No. All right. Does anyone? I just want to ask you about if you know any members of Mr. Jackson's family. Jackson's a common last name. Ex-wife Tasha Jackson. Anybody know her? Children Victoria, Olivia, or Ava Jackson? All right, let me just take a look if there's anything that were on your questionnaires that I thought I wanted to follow up with you on. So there were a couple of you that had been in serious car accidents. Well, let's see who this is. This is Kevin. Were you one of the people, maybe you talked about it, but I couldn't see you. You were in a serious car accident?
I was in one crash that I felt that I was injured from.
All right, tell me about that.
It wasn't a significant injury. I was slowing in traffic and the person behind me didn't stop, rear-ended me.
Whiplash injury?
Yeah.
Did you treat for it?
Through chiropractic.
Okay. How long did it take you to recover?
6 months, maybe.
And was that with constant chiropractic treatment?
Yeah, every few weeks.
Right. And during the time that you were treating, did you kind of try to take it easy and not aggravate it?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else in a serious car accident? Well, let me ask you this too, Kevin. Did you bring a claim against the person who hit you?
No.
No? All right. Just your insurance paid your medical bills or you didn't?
Yeah, the insurance companies work that out.
And maybe this was something that was discussed earlier. Brian, you've been a party to a lawsuit. Did you talk about that? No?
Oh,
Ever been a party to a lawsuit? Yes.
I was a witness to one. and
Witness.
Very young.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So you've never brought a lawsuit against anyone. There's never been anything that you felt you needed to sue over. All right. You know what? I think I have all the information I need. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Pollock. Council strikes when you're ready. Back on the record after a lunch recess, 20-C-01-1807, CT 163, Jeremiah Jackson in court in person by his attorneys Michael Phelps and Ryan Mell. I have the defendant RGB Sales LLC in court by its attorneys Karen Pollock and Lana Swingler. I also have a representative of the limited liability company, Aaron Rink, in court. And then Ms. Pollock and Ms. Swingler have their paralegal, Ms. Morris, in court also. Mr. Phelps, ready to go?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Pollock, ready to go?
Yes.
Let's get the jurors in here. Could you bring the jury in, please? Thanks.
He cooks. Somebody takes your box. I asked her to be sure. She was like, "What you know?" And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And I haven't seen her since. And now she's gonna be with Jerry. So. Yeah. You knew that was
Oh,
happening.
there now.
That would have been me. Because I didn't pour the whole thing out, which I normally do. Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome.
That's usually my job.
We love llamas here, by the way. Just so you know, llamas fly here all the time. They're not talking about you. Although, Lisa, now you are officially our own emotional support llama here in this chat. We finally have one. We're so happy. Lacey, hi, Lacey.
You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, welcome back to Circuit Court. I trust you had a delightful lunch. You should find at your respective seat a pad of paper and a pen in case you want to take notes. I would caution you, do not become so concerned with note-taking that you fail to listen to the testimony and observe the demeanor of the witnesses as they testify. You should also find at your seat an iPad, the court's precious iPads. Treat them as if they were your own. You will be using them shortly. You will
So throw
likely
them
use
around,
them throughout the
spill
entire
coffee on them.
trial.
Okay.
If at any time your iPad is not working and you need it to work, obviously you don't need your iPad.
Yeah,
if
because
you're
we're going to look
just
at yours
hearing
later.
Oral testimony.
All of us.
But if you need your iPad to work and it's not working, you need to let that fact be known to the court, and I will have IT assist you in getting your iPad to work. You can raise your hand. If I don't acknowledge it and one of the attorneys doesn't pick it up, be sure and say something so that we get that fixed. We'll stop and get it repaired right then. Your first chance to use those iPads will occur right now because you are going to have the preliminary jury instructions presented to you on the iPad. You may simply listen to me read them to you, or you may follow along on your iPad. Preliminary instructions. Consider all instructions. You are to
Guys,
consider all the instructions together.
you
Do not
gotta
single
tell
out
me.
any certain sentence or any individual point or instruction and ignore the other.
If at any point you want me to fast forward through these instructions, I am already there. It only takes one person to ask, and I will fast forward.
Others. You have been selected as jurors and have taken an oath to well and truly try this case, keep an open mind. Do not make a decision about the outcome of this case until you have heard all the evidence, the arguments of counsel, and my final instructions about the law you will apply to the evidence you have heard. Your decision must be based only on the evidence presented. You will receive further instructions.
That was page 30. Everybody thank legal. Everybody, because that was page 30. Quasi, I am working. I am working here.
Can you please fast forward all
Guys,
over?
I'm going back to page 1 because Fozzie just asked me to, and I would do anything Fozzie tells me to do. Sorry, guys. Bye. Fozzie said fast forward. I'm going to leave it here. I don't know where we are. I'm going to leave it right here.
After the final arguments.
Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite counsel to make opening statements to you. I again remind you, opening statements are
Unless I'm in the
not
bathroom.
evidence. They are merely a preview of what the attorneys anticipate the evidence will be. Mr. Phelps?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again now. Thank you so much for taking time out of your lives to come down and help us resolve this dispute. We know it's not easy for you to do that. What comes along with that, though, is that I would ask you that as you listen throughout this trial, that you do remember that this trial and your verdict is Jeremiah's only chance for justice in this case. My goal in opening statement is not to argue to you. That's not what opening statements are for. It's to tell you what I believe the evidence will be and won't be. I'll have a chance to argue at the end of the case. So let's talk about the case. The facts of this case are simple and they're undisputed. On September 15th of 2016, almost 8 years ago now, Jeremiah was driving northbound on State Road 13. And Mr. Holland, driving for RGB Sales, LLC, was driving southbound on State Road 13. And as somebody had mentioned during voir dire, State Road 13 is the preferred highway. There are no stop signs, no red lights. And County Road 40 has a stop sign east and west. So in other words, if you're driving on State Road 13 and you're going through the intersection, you have the right of way, just as if you have a green light. In this case, very simply, Jeremiah was driving northbound on State Road 13 when Mr. Holland inexplicably failed to yield and turned left right in front of Jeremiah. Jeremiah had no time to react, and boom, the wreck happens. The wreck happens. Mr. Holland was cited for failure to yield, and as you've heard, the evidence is, and there's a stipulation, that RGB has finally, after 8 years, admitted this is their fault. So we're here this week to determine what damages that Jeremiah is entitled to recover. We have some stipulated exhibits that you'll see, and here is a printed copy of that. It's 99% are Jeremiah's medical records as a result of this incident. And I will tell you, this is double-sided, so imagine that, twice as thick. Additionally, you'll see these in evidence, but you'll see the photographs of what we believe RGB is going to call a minor accident. Oops. No big deal.
Make it green. Thank you, legal. You're always making it green.
Really quickly, the evidence will be that, yes, Jeremiah hit a deer in February of 2019. You'll hear that from Jeremiah that he wasn't injured in that. He did not go to the hospital. You're not going to hear that he went to the hospital. You're not going to hear that he made any complaints at all. In fact, The evidence will show you that after he hits the deer, the next time he sees a doctor is his surgeon for his next previously scheduled follow-up that was already set. So the wreck happens. Jeremiah will tell you that his eldest daughter was supposed to be with him that day, and she kind of threw a fit, didn't want to go with that, I guess, that day. And by the grace of God, she was not in the passenger seat of this collision. Jeremiah will tell you that when the wreck happened, he was stunned. And I want to make sure that you all understand the treatment history. The evidence will be very, very simple. That Jeremiah was taken to Goshen Hospital, where the day of the incident, they performed a CT scan, a CAT scan of the neck because of his complaints and of his injury. Now, you're also going to hear that at no time in his life, in his 37 years or however old you write it, it's been 8 years ago, in his life, Jeremiah had never, ever had.
Legal, you hit a lot of good people there in that one. Did you see that? Lisa Lama, you got gifted a membership too. Congratulations.
Had to have a CAT scan on his neck before this wreck. He never, ever had to have an MRI on his neck, of which he had several after this wreck happened. You're going to hear that Jeremiah tried some physical therapy from October of up through October of 2016. You're going to hear from Dr. Mark Reeser. I'm going to talk more about him in a minute. He's a board-certified pain management and rehabilitation doctor. And he will explain to you, and you'll see it in his, we're going to play a video of his deposition for you because he couldn't make it today. So we took his deposition, and you're going to hear Dr. Reeser say, Jeremiah's treatment from the time of the wreck up through his surgery, even though there's a couple of years, almost 3 years, it is typical for this type of injury that we don't immediately run people into the operating room. We try lots of conservative treatment, and Jeremiah's was typical of that. So you're going to hear that he did go through physical therapy. Now, you are not going to hear, what you're not going to hear is that he was magically 100% better after his physical therapy. I think that's an allegation you've heard in Vardire. What the evidence is going to be was when he got through physical therapy, he was feeling a little bit better. However, at that time, he was on high doses of tramadol, which is a narcotic pain medication. And he was also taking muscle relaxers. He'd just been through therapy. He's still on medication. Yeah, we don't dispute. And Jeremiah will tell you he was feeling a little bit better then. So Jeremiah goes about his life. A couple months later, after that, it's recurring. It's not getting any better. Not getting any better. He tried some chiropractic treatment. Didn't really help him. Didn't really help him. Ultimately, he ends up at his surgeon's office, Dr. Smucker. You'll hear from Dr. Smucker again by way of his deposition.
I like his jelly.
Dr. Smucker's office didn't even rush him into surgery at that point. Dr. Smucker's office says, let's try some cervical. So when we say cervical, we're talking about the neck. Let's try some cervical injections.
That's not what I talk about.
To see if that helps.
When I use that
They do
word.
the injections, pinpoints C6. You're going to hear that. The lower part of the neck is where Jeremiah's surgery was. You're going to hear they did some injections on him, and they pinpointed that's definitely where it's coming from because the injection helped temporarily. You're going to hear Dr. Reeser tell you the point of that injection. The point of the injection isn't so much to make you feel better, although that's a side effect of the injection. The injection at C6 is to pinpoint that's where the pain and the radiculopathy, you're going to hear radiculopathy, numbness and pain and tingling down in the arms and
Radiculopathy
hands.
of the cervical
That was coming
Schmucker ice
from
cream.
C6. You're going to hear that before this wreck, Jeremiah had never in his life had numbness and tingling down either arm. You will hear Jeremiah say that he sporadically had been to a chiropractor for kind of what he says maintenance or what I would refer to as massage therapy, but he had never specifically complained of pain in the neck, let alone the low neck at C6. After the diagnostic injection, you'll hear from Dr. Reeser and you'll also hear from Dr. Smucker that the last resort, and it was the last resort, yes, it was 3 years later, but it was the last resort, that he did a cervical discectomy infusion. And what you're going to hear is that they cut Jeremiah's neck in the front, they take the windpipe, they move it out of the way, they take the disc out, they put plates and screws in to secure that level of the spine. Number one, so it doesn't pinch or press on nerves and cause that pain and numbing down the arm, and also to stabilize it. And you're going to hear that Jeremiah had a good outcome. He had a good outcome from the surgery. It doesn't mean he's perfect. Now, the evidence is going to show you that but for Mr. Holland making that left-hand turn in September of 2016 in front of Jeremiah, none of this would have been necessary. None of this would have been necessary. As I said, you're going to hear from Dr. Mark Reeser, board-certified physical medicine and rehabilitation doctor. He did an examination of Jeremiah, and his opinions basically are threefold. Number one, the preponderance of the greater weight of the evidence shows that all this medical treatment in the surgery was caused by this wreck. Number two, that because of the surgery, Jeremiah has a 25% permanent partial impairment rating, and that this injury is, in fact, permanent. He will live with it until the day he dies. Dr. Mark Reeser, again, board-certified physician in physical medicine and rehabilitation, will tell you that in addition to the 25% permanent partial impairment that Jeremiah is at now, because that level has been fused. We've, we've put screws and we've put plates in there. That area of the neck doesn't move. That the level above it and the level below it are now susceptible to early degeneration because they are going to take more load because that level at C6 has now been fused together. Now, you will hear in Dr. Reeser's testimony, there's a dispute between RGB, or at least their lawyer, and Dr. Reeser about which book he used. There's what's called the American Medical Association Guides to the Evaluation of Permanent Partial Impairment. Dr. Reeser uses the 5th edition. There is a 6th edition that is out. Dr. Reeser has always used the 5th edition. He believes it to be more reliable.
I
You
don't
will hear that
understand the
permanent partial
question.
impairment
I
rating, that
use
number,
AdSense.
25, would
Like
be
that's how YouTube
lower
pays me.
under the 6th edition. But you'll also hear Dr. Reeser say that when he testifies in front of administrative law judges, like for workman's compensation cases, that the state of Indiana accepts his opinions based upon the 5th edition of the guides. Now, I also think that Dr. Reeser either calls or agrees with me that the 5th edition of the guides is the gold standard and the 6th is not. Okay. You're going to hear from Jeremiah. Jeremiah, as you know, worked in the RV industry. You're going to hear that he was very, very handy, mechanically inclined. You're going to hear from Jeremiah and some witnesses, some colleagues, some friends even of Jeremiah. And they're going to tell you about their observations of Jeremiah and how he was different before and after this wreck. Literally before and after this wreck.
Fozzie, you have YouTube Premium. So if that's what you're seeing, you're clicking them on purpose. Knock it off.
Wreck like a light switch going off. They're going to tell you that before this wreck happened, Jeremiah was the first person, if you needed something, if you were stuck in a ditch in the snow at 2 in the morning in the middle of February, you call Jeremiah, he's like, I'm on my way. You're going to hear that Jeremiah was always. Well,
at least I didn't speak about bleaching certain parts, right? It could be worse.
Kind of helping his friends out with their vehicles and their RVs. I think one of the witnesses will tell you that Jeremiah could basically take an RV and renovate the whole doggone thing like in a day before this happened. And since that, he's given up all of that because he cannot physically do that work anymore. You're also going to hear, for example, I think one witness will tell you that the witness was having a gun safe delivered to their home, and they didn't know how they were going to get it in. And Jeremiah came over and single-handedly, before this wreck, got that gun safe off the truck and into the garage. And I think he said it weighed about, don't quote me on this, I think it was about 4,000 pounds, something like that. And Jeremiah was able to work like that physically. In his daily life, in addition to work, Jeremiah no longer does those things. He no longer helps out with those projects, especially ones that require a lot of getting down on the ground, looking around, lifting really heavy items. Now, keep in mind, he could do all of those things up to and even on the day of September 15th of 2016, before this wreck happened. You're also going to hear that Jeremiah is a black belt in jiu-jitsu and is a jiu-jitsu instructor. And you will hear from Jeremiah and some of his colleagues about that. They will talk to you about the type of instruction that Jeremiah would give them, the type of sparring, they called it rolling, that they would do. And you're going to hear that the day this wreck happened, the way he went about that stopped. Now, Jeremiah just wasn't a hobbyist. He was an instructor in jiu-jitsu. You're going to hear from a couple of the witnesses, one in particular, who will talk to you about the fact that Jeremiah was his main teacher and sparring partner, and that after this wreck, Jeremiah could no longer be his sparring partner in the same way. Now, you're going to hear that Jeremiah still does instruct. You're going to hear, I think, that he went from doing it every day, every night, to once or twice a week, number one. But number two, he has vastly changed the way he does it. And number three, he doesn't instruct nearly as much. All right. You're going to hear, well, what you're not going to hear is that anything Jeremiah did after this wreck increased his injuries. There'll be argument about it, but you're not going to see any medical records that he actually increased his injury. You're going to hear about an incident where he was stretching, getting ready. He was stretching and he felt a pull in his neck. But Dr. Reeser and Dr. Smucker are going to say that's not the reason for this surgery. Feeling a pull in your neck while stretching is nothing like being involved in this wreck. You're not going to hear that he had any separate identifiable increased injury as a result of anything he did. Lastly, I want to talk really quickly. You're going to hear during Dr. Reeser's testimony, cross-examination, a lot of talk about something called Klippel-Feil syndrome. Klippel-Feil syndrome apparently is a congenitive condition that some people are born with, that Jeremiah was born with. He never knew he had it until after this wreck, and after, I'm not even sure he even found out about it until after he had the surgery. But he has this Klippel-Feil syndrome up at the top of his neck at C3. Has zero, the evidence will be, Dr. Reese will tell you, has nothing at all to do with this case, this wreck, or the injury, or the surgery. You're going to hear some questions that about people with Klippel-Feil syndrome should be cautious or not participate in contact sports. Well, the evidence will be Jeremiah didn't even know he had it, never had any pain. And by the way, the evidence also will be he needed the surgery down at C6, not C3. To sum up, we know that RGB has admitted this is their fault. You're going to hear the treatment history that Jeremiah went through that is 100% typical for this type of injury. Number three, that by the greater weight of the evidence, if not more, but by the greater weight of the evidence, Jeremiah's damages, the surgery, all this medical treatment, and his $115,820.41. $115,000.
I tried to get this part edited. It killed me. This is what you got.
medical bills were caused solely because RGB's driver wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. At the end of this case, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ask you for a significant but reasonable jury verdict. Not a verdict as if Jeremiah was paralyzed from the waist down. Thank the Lord he wasn't. I'm not going to ask you for $30 or $40 million, but we're going to ask you for a substantial and fair verdict. Last thing I would ask you to do is really, really listen to the testimony about things like hitting a deer, Klippel-Feil syndrome. The last thing is you're going to see some photos and video of other jujitsu schools, not Jeremiah's, and some of the crazy techniques that they do, as if Jeremiah did those in the past or still does them. All the witnesses that were involved either in training with, being taught by Jeremiah will tell you, well, we never did that. We don't do that crazy stuff. And the safe stuff that we do, Jeremiah just doesn't do anymore. He'll teach. He'll teach. He'll show you how to do it, but then the student can't turn around and try it on Jeremiah because of his neck. So they have to train with someone else. I just ask you to listen really closely to what some of the arguments are of RGB sales versus what the evidence actually shows. I thank you so much for your time, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I remind you that the defendant is not required to give an opening statement, but may do so if they so desire. Ms. Pollock,
I do so desire. Thank you.
proceed.
This time I do have to say good afternoon. We've gotten past the morning. Okay, so here we are. We're not calling this a minor accident. You guys saw the pictures. You're probably
we
seeing them
didn't. It's
again
morning.
when the evidence starts. It's not a minor accident. Our driver had to climb out of his truck, which was now on its side, get himself out. First thing he did, immediately, go to Mr. Jackson, ask him if he's okay. Mr. Jackson, you'll hear from the evidence. He said, yes, he was. Paramedics were called at the scene. He was mad. I'll tell you, he was mad. But he saw Mr. Holland's left turn signal before Mr. Holland started his turn. Mr. Holland was not driving. You'll hear no evidence that he was driving recklessly, that he was speeding, that he ran any red lights or disregarded any stop signs or was impaired. He just miscalculated how long he had to turn. So that's why we're here to go today saying it's our fault. We're not saying it's a minor accident. You saw the cars. It was a bad accident. We are saying the injuries were minor. That's what we're saying. And I think the evidence will bear that out. So you'll hear that Mr. Holland got out, asked Mr. Jackson if he was okay. Mr. Jackson's mad at him. Paramedics called, checked Mr. Jackson out, had him moving his neck at the scene. He declined transport. I'm fine, don't need to go in an ambulance. And he didn't. He called his wife to the scene, the evidence will show. And later that day, she took him to the ER to get checked out. You'll hear that they took x-rays.
They know he's at fault. They went through everything. So this isn't a trial to see if they're at fault. All this is a trial for damages. They all agree the other guy's at fault for the accident. This is just a trial for damages to this guy.
X-rays showed everything was okay. And you'll see medical records and hear from Mr. Jackson that they told him, it looks like a little bit of whiplash. Okay, referred him to his family doctor. The evidence will show the following day, the day after this accident, he was at work. He was at work setting up an RV show for Forest River. Didn't even have to miss a day after this accident in the evening. You'll see that he continued to work without missing a day, either at jiu-jitsu or at Forest River. And you'll hear evidence about how taxing the job at Forest River is on your body, which is why the evidence will show Mr. Jackson's been going to a chiropractor since he was 25 years old. You'll see photographs. You've seen the photographs.
Did the stream stop?
You will not hear any evidence that Mr. Holland did anything wrong other than misjudge his turn. So following the impact, you'll hear the drivers got themselves out, went on their ways. No one left in an ambulance. His neck was checked at the scene. He said he was fine. Next day, he was at work. So he starts treating with the chiropractor. The evidence will show you shortly after the accident. And on October 10th, 2016, he starts physical therapy. All right, so he goes to physical therapy a few weeks after the accident. And on the first day of physical therapy, the documented records will show he reported neck pain on a scale of 1 to 10 as 0, shoulder pain on a scale of 1 to 10 as 0, and back pain on a scale of 1 to 10 as 2. So by November 7th,
It was your idea to give me a camera, just so you know. I haven't had dinner yesterday yet. I'm working on it. I've got to eat dinner yesterday before it's time for breakfast. It's almost time for breakfast.
2016, he reported that he was feeling better. He was 90 to 95% back to normal. You'll see those records. They're in evidence by stipulation. And he was done treating. He didn't go back. They told him, call us if you need us. You'll see that he didn't call. December 5th, 2016. So now we're still less than 3 months out from the accident. You'll see a letter that he wrote to the court in connection with a different matter. And he said, I was hurt. I was in an accident. I'm fine now. I'm back to work. It's all good. We'll take care of this. So from November 7th, 2016, the evidence will reflect that he did not seek any medical treatment until April 2017. So 5 months, he's back to work. Back to work. He never missed work. He's working at Forest River every day, doing very difficult physical labor. He's working Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, teaching several times a week. He's competing, he's sparring, he's doing whatever it is he does. He's doing a lot of other very active, very physically taxing activity that you'll hear about during his cross-examination. So from 2017 to 2019, he's living his life, he's doing his normal thing. And then in August of 2019, he undergoes surgery on his neck. So he's going to tell you, you've heard Mr. Phelps tell you, the surgery is related. And it was necessary because of this accident. And again, I told you before, I'll tell you again, he has the burden of proving that. We don't have to come up with any evidence going, no, it's not related. He has to prove it's related. And how's he going to do that? By Dr. Reeser? You will hear evidence from, you'll hear depositions. So Dr. Reeser, we've got a video deposition, so you'll just have to sit and watch on your little iPads. Dr. Smucker, we have his deposition, but it's not going to be as exciting because he wasn't videotaped. So it'll just be read in. Mr. Mail will play a doctor on TV, and he will sit up there and read Dr. Smucker's part. So you'll hear what Dr. Smucker said under oath.
Yes, he does.
And I want you to bear in mind, Dr. Smucker is the doctor who operated on Mr. Jackson. All right. He is an orthopedic surgeon. You will hear from him. He will say,
only because they wouldn't let me, and I asked.
Mr. Jackson told me that he was here and needed the surgery because of this accident. I don't know any different. I took him at his word. That's what he'll tell you. Dr. Smucker, the surgeon who performed the operation, will not tell you there is any permanent impairment to Mr. Jackson. He doesn't say a word about permanent impairment. He wasn't asked by plaintiff's counsel whether there was any permanent impairment. This is the orthopedic surgeon who performed the fusion surgery. So instead, Dr. Reeser, you will hear evidence, Dr. Reeser, not an orthopedist, not a surgeon, but someone who has been hired by Mr. Phelps on multiple prior occasions to perform an independent medical examination of Mr. Phelps' client and render an opinion about whether they're injured. You will hear evidence that Dr. Reeser, again, not a surgeon, not an orthopedist, couldn't have performed the surgery in any event, couldn't have done it. Not qualified. So he will tell you that he examined Mr. Jackson years after the accident at Mr. Phelps' request and for a fee, not to treat Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson was long done treating. He was fine. Surgery was over, doing all his normal activities. Dr. Reeser will tell you he was hired to spend 10 minutes examining Mr. Jackson and render an opinion using a dusty, outdated version of the AMA guidelines that he's 25% impaired. And you'll see in his deposition, I asked him about that. I said, well, there's two different editions that have come out since then, right? And he didn't say that there was anything wrong with them. He said they're complicated, so he doesn't use those. So that's what you'll hear from him. He doesn't like those because they give a much lower impairment rating to someone who's undergone the procedure Mr. Jackson underwent. So contrast, when you listen to the evidence, I want you to consider Dr. Reeser's position and Dr. Smucker's position. And remember, Dr. Smucker is the one who performed the surgery and is an orthopedic surgeon and was not paid just to look at Mr. Jackson and give an opinion. So that's where we are. And I told you, we're looking for a fair award. We're not saying don't give him anything, because we admit it's our fault. He was hurt. He went to physical therapy. He went to the ER and had x-rays. Give him what is fair. That's what we're looking for. And we think the evidence will reflect that what is fair is his medical bills up to the time of November 7th, 2016, when he stopped going to physical therapy, wrote a letter to the court the next month saying, I'm fine now, and didn't seek any more treatment until April, during which time he engaged in some very, very physical activities. That may very well have caused him to have new neck pain or have re-injured something else. So and that's going to be, we're going to ask you to use your common sense on that. You heard Mr. Phelps tell you that he felt a pull in his neck at one point when he was stretching for jujitsu. Look at the medical records, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't a pull, it was a pop. It was a pop. And that's a lot different. Anyone can pull a muscle. I'll pull a muscle going home today. I mean, that's easy. A pop in his neck, and things were dramatically different after that. Maybe that was the source of a new injury that required him to have surgery.
But
you'll have to figure that out from the medical records, and you've got plenty of them to look through. So he tells you he can't do, and let's talk about the medical bill. He tells you he can't do what he used to do. We think the evidence will show otherwise, and that's coming. He's asked you, he says he's got $115,821 in medical bills. And
no, we shouldn't. I'm just wondering why Fozzie hasn't said, ooh, cherry jam, ooh, plum jam yet. Fozzie, that means she talks down to people.
For those of you who are in the medical field, you'll understand what they bill and then what they accept as payment, dramatically different numbers. So you'll hear and you'll see numbers. Yeah, they billed him $115,821, but they accepted less than half of that as full payment. So we're going to be asking you to look at that number. What was actually paid for his medical bills? Not, CAT scans, they charge a tremendous amount of money, but they take a lot less because it's marked up so that they can mark it down. So that's what we think the evidence is. We think the evidence is going to show that Mr. Jackson,
hey, Jethro,
treated for a few weeks, complaining of no pain while he treated. They tell you it's because of the tramadol or whatever, maybe it was. But he went to physical therapy complaining of no pain. He went for a few weeks and then he stopped, and he did nothing for 5 months about this injury. Continued on with everything he needed to do. And that's where we think the cutoff needs to be, November 7, 2016. And we think the evidence will support that position. So thank you for your attention. We're going to try to get you out of here in good time tomorrow. We'll try not to bore you too much. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you not throwing your summonses out when you got them in the mail. I know some people are inclined to do that.
Chick-fil-A.
So we thank you for your time, Mr. Rink, RGB Sales. We appreciate your attention to this matter, and we'll speak to you again at closing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Polly. Now that we're through opening statements, we will begin the evidentiary portion of the case. Plaintiff will present testimony and evidence first. Mr. Phelps.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, plaintiff's first witness would be Dr. Mark Reeser, which I believe the court has downloaded the video file.
All right, it's only 20 seconds. We're good. We had enough. We made it through jury selection and opening statements. We got them out of the way. Now tomorrow we get to see the videos, the pictures, and what I thought that some of you guys might like a lot. Kelly, I knew that you would like this, or not. Like is not the right word, is it? I knew that this would hit home. Like you would be there with what's going on. And your comments have everybody, focused on what's important. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. See, no one ever thinks about things like that. Like The amount of stuff you have to go through. Oh my gosh. Just the paperwork. I'm only talking about the paperwork. I'm not talking about the pain and suffering and pills and I'm talking about paperwork and appointments and just the whole disruption of your life just for stupid things. Not for getting better, not for stupid things like references. All right. It's time to move on from this case and go to Mr. Judge David Fleischer. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Worldwide, International. He looks nice today. I mean, he looks nice every day. But I don't know, it just reminds me of Easter, even though Easter is gone. This is a new judge, Fozzie. You may not have heard of him before. He's from Pennsylvania here, but I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
What's Vic, what page?
Brown is on page
Oh,
6.
Brown. Good morning, Ms. Brown. And you're charged with assault, bodily injury. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're gonna do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
On July 24th, 2024, officers were dispatched to an assault in progress. Officers spoke with the complainant who was a caregiver at a group home where the defendant is a client. The complainant stated that she asked defendant to shower to get ready for a daycare facility. The defendant began yelling and calling her all kinds of derogatory names. The defendant then started punching her in the face and bit down on her right thumb. The complainant stated the defendant began grinding her teeth on her thumb as the complainant's thumb was in the defendant's mouth, causing severe pain for approximately 1 minute. The complainant stated that she used her left hand to try to push the defendant's face back away from her as she attempted to pull her thumb out of the defendant's mouth at the same time. Defendant admitted to biting the complainant on her right thumb and stated that she tried to rip off the complainant's thumb when she bit her. The defendant further stated that the complainant assaulted her with her fist in the back of her head. Witnesses confirmed the defendant attacked the complainant by biting her on her hand and stated that she did not observe the complainant assault the defendant. The doctor, who was a plastic surgeon and hand specialist, stated that complainant had the bone on her right thumb bitten through and it would require surgery to repair along with possible rehab. The doctor was unable at the time to determine if there was ligament damage or if there would be a long-term loss of functionality to the appendage.
You're lucky you're not charged with aggravated assault, ma'am. Be facing up to 20 years in prison. How old are you? Ms. Brown, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Are you here with anyone today? Are you here with anyone today? How did you get here? Uber. Okay. This is what we're going to do, ma'am. I will appoint you a lawyer today. Are you still living in the same group home as this one, or did you get moved to another one? Okay. I'm going to tell you something that if you continue to fight and act like this, you're going to alienate every group home, and then you're going to end up on the street. If you end up on the street, you will do damn near anything just to survive, including giving yourself up, if you know what I mean. Life on the street is extremely rough. It's not fun and it's dangerous. Who knows who you'll meet, what you'll do, how you'll end up. It's not good. Do you understand? So when you're in a group home, be nice. It's not hard. And if you get upset, aggravated, find another release. But if I find that you start acting like this again, I will put you in jail. You need to understand that you don't have anyone that's going to bond you out. So if I put you in jail, even at $100 bond, you don't have anyone that's going to make it, and you'll be stuck like Chuck in there until this thing is over with, which would be the better part of a year. Do you understand? Okay. For now, I'm going to have you sign a reset with Victoria. Then I'm going to have you take a seat. I'm going to find your lawyer, and then we'll figure out where we go from here. Okay? Please. So,
Judge, does she need the financial?
no.
Yes, Judge.
Can you go ahead and file no going back to that group home, no contact with complaining witness, no assaultive or combative behavior, no weapons, and then we'll have her sign it momentarily.
All right, Judge, page 11, Gilbert. He's the one that came up yesterday, Judge. The bond conditions and all that.
Did we do a test? For everything? Okay. Did you want me to appoint you a lawyer today? Okay, so we will do that. I am ordering you not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using, then I'm going to put you in jail. I am going to give you a handheld device that you're going to take with you everywhere you go to prove to me that you're not consuming. Do you understand? I know that you have a problem, and so I'm going to make sure that you're not consuming. And if you do, we'll just put you in jail. I have way too much drama in my life. I don't need any more. Do you understand? Okay. I'm going to have you sign a receipt with Victoria, then we'll just have you take a seat in the jury box while I find you someone, and then we'll have you speak to them here momentarily. That way. Rachel, can you waive the fee, please?
Judge, for Brown, was that state's bond condition?
Yeah. But
He's going to plenty of fish right now, guys.
because I'm giving him a monitoring device. Yeah.
Next is page 16 and 17. Hines, come on up. Gregory Hines.
Good catch,
Rachel,
sir.
on Mr. Gilbert, no going back to that smoke shop, no contact with the complaining witness, no weapons, and then the no dope and alcohol in the device, and then waive all fees, please. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Mayor Bruce, I didn't see that you had this done here. I'm representing him this morning.
What's the last name?
Hines, Gregory Hines.
Good morning, Mr. Hines. Mr. Hines, you're charged with 2 cases. You're charged with terroristic threat. You're also charged with criminal trespass. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine on both of those cases. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you. Are you signing on as attorney of record?
I already have this.
Okay, you're hired?
Hired.
Got it. Okay, so just please don't say anything. Okay.
On August 20th, 2024, officers were flagged down by Platinum Parking by a valet who is a complainant. Defendant had parked his car blocking the driveway entrance to the parking lot, and complainant asked him to move the car. Defendant refused, became belligerent, and then drove off. He returned to the property later and illegally parked his vehicle on the property in the moving lane, blocking access for other customers. Complainant again asked him to move his car, but defendant rolled up his window and ignored him. Complainant and witness then again asked defendant to leave the property. Defendant moved his car to another part of the parking lot, blocking a driveway. Complainant saw valets struggling with the uncooperative defendant. Complainant approached again and told defendant that he needed to pay for parking. Defendant told complainant F you and told complainant, I will shoot your ass. And leaned over and reached toward the underside of his dash. Complainant was in fear for his life. Defendant told officers that the valet had punched him and damaged his window. There was no signs of damage, and defendant was the only belligerent person on scene.
So where was this? Was it a restaurant or a bar?
It's a parking lot, Judge.
Parking lot.
The what though?
Going to the Astros game. My client is a Louisiana resident. He was here to go to the game. Which is why the office report stated he came back the next day is troubling to me because he has no family or doesn't live here. Stayed in the hotel last night. He went there one day to park to go to the game. There are some disputed facts with this.
Okay. So, Mr. Hines, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward on both of your cases. Just don't go back to this parking lot. I don't want you to accidentally run into this person. I don't want you also to have any contact with this person as well, and no weapons, okay? You have a lawyer. I will waive your appearance, but you must stay in touch with each other, and then he will tell you when you have to come back to court. The only other thing I'm going to ask you to
Great
do, don't
channel.
pick up any new cases.
Awesome
Are you on probation or
channel.
parole at this moment?
No, sir.
Okay, so just don't pick up any new cases. You'll be fine. Okay, you've got a great lawyer. He'll help you out. Okay, for now, I'm gonna have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. After that, we'll have you go to the jury box. We'll wait for your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it, and after that, you'll be free to go. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks. If you can file no contact in the weapons, please. And no going to the parking lot. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if that person works in that particular parking lot. Yeah. I don't want them to run into each other accidentally. Okay, any THAs? Okay. Mr. Johnson. Hey. What is your client's name again? Okay. Come up, Mr. Gorman. I'm sending you for a drug and alcohol test right now, and I'm going to tell you if you ever miss again, I will issue a warrant. No questions asked. You understand? You're not supposed to use whatsoever, and when they call you, you're supposed to go. The next time you miss, and I don't care what your excuse is, I will issue a warrant for your arrest and put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds.
Irritable bowel
All
syndrome.
right, so we want to send him
Doesn't
now for a
count.
drug and alcohol test. He will come back, and then leave me your phone number. I'm sure you have other stuff to do, right?
Actually, I don't have anything else to do today.
Okay.
That's why I pulled it up today from Friday, because I'm leaving town tomorrow. But I did want to let the court know that I want to stay and we have to do that resolution.
Okay.
I did it.
What is your resolution?
Leave it for 3 days.
Oh, are we going to do that now?
I'm just waiting on the paperwork to be back.
Okay, well then, I'm not going to send him if we're going to just do that. And we'll be done with it now, once and for all. Okay, all right, just go ahead, take a seat, maybe we'll get it ready.
Waiting in the box. Or we didn't have to go to the rest.
You can go, yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
All right.
I like T-bone. Want to know
Oh.
why? Bossy, you want to know why I like T-bone? Because I like food. I'm not a hater for food. I don't hate on food. No. I'm going to start a movement. No hating on food. Hashtag. It's backwards because the words are more important.
I forgot his, why am I blanking out on his name? Brooker, where's Brooker?
I would eat that all day. Look, you made the judge leave. He's going to get a steak with pineapples on it. And that's your fault. Now we have to wait. Oh, I can fast forward. So Tide Pods are not food, even though everybody was eating them? All food. Wow. That sucks.
What should I do with this now? I forgot to deal with this the other day. She pled. She pled. I'm looking it up right here. She pled on the 26th, 2 days ago, and I meant to,
Hello,
like, I left.
beautiful
I know,
Melissa.
and I meant to bring it up.
I guess denies. Because I mean, he pled already. I can ask. I'll ask, but I think it will be part denied.
And they never came back. Didn't she say she was gonna come back?
Yeah, they didn't come back.
I guess I'll deny it. I mean, they didn't even come back. She said she was gonna come, or they said
Eagle,
they
you
were gonna
got
come
a
back, right?
good business idea for the millennials or the Gen Zers or the
Okay.
whatevers.
Should I put on here?
If you want to put it.
They said that they were gonna come back. They never did.
Or just put the case got disclosed.
Well, I'm no, but I also want on here that they didn't come back, so that they don't come back and complain
Oh,
to
yeah,
me.
that's fine.
Morning, Judge. First to approach.
Yeah.
On Paige Brown, it's an arraignment case.
Is that this young lady?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw the word. I'm just asking the court to sign it so I can share another correct.
Okay. I'd like to know who. Josh, you got.
Me too.
Mr. Gorman, you're charged with assault, bodily injury. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. You've worked out an agreement. They're offering you 3 days in jail with the credit that you have served. So basically, you're going to walk out of here today. I want you to understand that this charge will go on your record. It'll be there for the rest of your life. And from now on, for any cases that you pick up, you'll be looking at a minimum of 90 days in jail. No proverbial slaps on the wrist anymore. Do you understand? Any more contact with us, you're going to be doing a hell of a lot of time. And I'm going to tell you, it's not fun. You understand? You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. So once you plead guilty, there's no turning back. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
This is what you want to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how do you plead to the offense of assault? I will find you guilty. I will follow the agreement. We will have you pay fines and court costs that you will be responsible for. If you do not pay, a warrant will be issued. So be careful. All right. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Domino's Pizza. Oh, damn it. Did I say that? Okay. You want Wednesday or what days do you want? Okay, I'm done. All right.
Correct.
Ah, Lord have mercy. Hey,
Got a few things. I think we can start with Mr. Samuel Garza. He just showed me the paper. He signed up for the GED classes.
what's the last name?
Garza. Garcia.
Which Garcia?
Your honors, it would be Samuel.
Come up, Samuel Garcia. It's not a good morning. You continue to test positive for marijuana.
Nah, that was from.
No. I just sent you for a test and you test positive, and I told you I was going to test you after 30 days. And if you continue to test positive, what was going to happen? That's exactly right. So guess what happens now? I don't.
From my last court date.
You tested positive again. It's been over 30 days, man. I'm sorry, John D. He knows.
All right, I'll be back.
What's with you? I'm sorry, John D. So let's do this. He'll auto-populate again tomorrow. Let's set off just a couple days and then.
Just FYI, he's got a for offer tomorrow. Offers. And he did have proof that he signed up for a GED class that
No.
starts September 3rd.
Some of us.
4 days
But
a week.
no.
Okay.
for 3.
All right.
That's what
I want.
Some people are in Australia. So it's just a normal time of the day for them. And Ireland and the UK. Some people just can't sleep. They just can't sleep. So they don't sleep. Some people do work third shift. Yep. Why are other people here? You can't sleep. You're on third shift or you're in Australia. Is there any other reason some people are here? Tell me. I'd like to know. I just can't sleep. That's me.
Want him to start it by then. We'll yeah.
Okay. We have Mr. Johnson.
In the middle of Australia and working midnight shift?
Or midnight upstairs. Tom has already said that they will dismiss ours once something moves upstairs.
Donald said no, let it go.
The felony is just 10-14.
Whoa, he just picked these up?
I think that was kind of.
Okay, so it's all just one transaction, right? Okay, you want the day after?
Yeah.
Okay.
After that,
Yeah,
not
totally.
when- Hopefully it'll just work itself out.
Yeah, this will probably go away, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
definitely.
For sure.
I'm so sorry, Beverly.
Mr.
I never thought about that
Mr.
one, guys. I'm not
Perez,
gonna lie.
Carlos Perez, I haven't heard from him, but he's the young man that needs reading and writing classes.
Okay,
So hopefully he'll be here to.
we'll see.
give us
I'll
some
call you if he
time.
shows.
And then afterwards, just probably.
Yeah.
And then my last one is Mr. Vallejo judge. It's a not too old DWI case. State gave us a uninsured offer.
I'm just gonna tell you now, I'm gonna fight anybody who says something bad about Lori. I'm gonna fight you all. Lori is great. She's great. Yes, this is how she was yesterday and today. She must be going through something right now. And we are not gonna pick on Lori.
All the discovery just came in.
It's only 100 and,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you want. Yeah, thanks, Sean.
That's it.
If he comes in, I'll call you.
No, I'm from this court, so I'll come back and check it. I just wanted to get rid of, get done with the file.
For sure. Oh, and no, I have to say, I've always held you above reproach. I really like you. And I don't know if he was saying that for your client, for his sake, you know, how you accidentally forgot to call or whatnot.
Do you guys know what we're talking about here? So Monday, and legal, tell me if I'm wrong. Monday, this guy was supposed to be in court, and this attorney came in front of the judge and said, "Oh, I forgot to tell him." Tuesday, the judge says, "Okay, come Tuesday." Tuesday, this guy is supposed to be in court. Attorney says, "I forgot to call him and tell him." So, not good. Not good. Lori is the lawyer right here with plenty of water. I don't know what sleep is. I'm going to rewind it just a little bit in case we missed any.
Get rid of, get done with the bond.
For sure. Owen, no, I have to say, I've always held you above reproach. I really like you. And I don't know if he was saying that for your client, for his sake, you know, how you accidentally forgot to call or whatnot for yesterday, you know,
Well, let me say.
because that's not you, you know, it's not
I was
you.
at a county this actually today is my birthday, and my wife and daughter took me to Galveston for my birthday. So I was out of the office all week.
Well, happy birthday.
So I was trying to get caught up, and I wasn't paying attention. I did make a mistake. He's actually due. He was due tomorrow. We're almost finished.
I will not, you know, Victoria and I were talking about this, that I will not reinstate his bond until he has everything done.
Well,
And the
I think
problem
we're
is,
ready.
that he's also,
I have the interlock now. He has the interlock. At least he told me in an email that he already had an.
Nope. For me, if I try to go to sleep, it's like, oh, I gotta get the laundry done. I gotta go grocery shopping. I gotta feed the cats. I gotta wash the dog. I gotta. Don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. But the thing is, I'm tired, so I lay there. So I don't get any of that stuff done anyway. I just lay there. So that's why I started making YouTube videos. So instead of sleeping, which I should be doing, and instead of getting all that other stuff done, which I should be doing, I just added more things that I need to do every day.
He already had a breath device, a portable, but the contract calls for a in-car device. Apparently, he's got that switch. So I just need to get that. I've got the $300 to pay the fee, so we can close that case up.
problem is he's drinking.
Over his bond violation, and I would never gainsay that to any judge, but I did make a mistake by not calling him the second time. That was my mistake. I take care of my business, as you know.
I know. My
But
concern is that he's drinking though.
I understand,
You know?
I would never gainsay that, but he was actually scheduled for the 29th anyway. So my position is, let me get him in here and I'll get it fixed. Now, if you need to address the issues, I'll physically make them come down because you want to address the issues of the bond violation. Rather than issue a warrant for his arrest.
The warrant's already out there. I issued it
I'll get it
yesterday.
here and I'll get it. We'll fix it.
We have to address the fact that he's drinking. You know, I mean, it just can't.
And I do apologize. I'm normally not that sloppy, but I was.
Owen, I love you, man. It's not a big deal, right? But the problem is that we need to curb the drinking. If he's drinking now, what is going to happen while he's on divert? You know, because
I don't know that he is drinking, Judge. He contacted me. He actually called me when it happened and told me about it. I don't know if he lied to me or not, but he did call me and tell me. So it isn't like he's trying to cover it up.
Well, he is for me. Hey, do you have Betancourt by chance? Or it was on what, yesterday, right? Let me see.
Does Lori
Lori,
have the
I'll hit you up next.
Does Lori have the client with the beeping?
I don't know. I guess just, let him know that the warrant's been issued, that he's gonna have to take care of it. I'm not lifting it until he comes here.
Did you set a new bond?
Yeah, I think it was 5,001 or two, something like that.
We'll get it in.
Yeah,
Because I'll,
and Pavel, so Owen has Betancourt. It's in warrant status because he didn't appear yesterday, but the problem is that he's drinking now. And we're about to put him on a diversion, right? What, if he's drinking now, what's gonna happen while he's on the diversion? Right? How do we curb it? I don't know. So I mean, he's not here, so there's nothing for us to do now, but I want you to think about how do we go forward with this? There has to be something, right? You can't just, because if we don't do anything now, we're telling him it's okay, and it's not. So I don't know what to do. So I guess we'll just, think creatively and figure something out. I don't know.
well, now, let me ask one other question. If I can get him here, would you consider reinstating the bond as long as we get the case finished?
I don't know. Because my issue is the drinking. How do we address the
No, I'm
drinking?
gonna skip
That's my
that
issue.
case. I just can't remember which one.
And I don't know.
All right,
I have a skip test, but did he ever test positive?
What is that?
Skip test, yeah, he did test.
Okay.
I know what it means, but. I understand.
I mean, what I would probably suggest is instead of that, or in lieu of, we do a
Water's
scram.
important. Water with
That way he
hops
can't
and
skip. And if he tests
barley
positive, we'll
and
know, and I'm
wheat
gonna
is
put him in jail. That's it. But
would you consider the
he's gonna be responsible for the cost though, while he's on bond for this thing. I can't pay for it now.
well, I mean, we're almost done. We're to the point where he can start the program. So.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that I think that as part of the program, one of the conditions should be that he has a scram, because we can't trust him to do it on his own. So he can either have a little jail therapy or he can get the scram. You leave the option to him.
I'll discuss it.
Let me know.
Thank you.
Okay. Lori.
Good morning, Judge. I have Jose Hernandez on your jail docket. He's charged with assault family member. It doesn't appear as if a bond is set for him.
Hey, guys, do you mind bringing out Jose Hernandez, please?
We need an interpreter. He's a Spanish speaker.
Oh,
I'll text the link.
okay. We'll get him out here for you here momentarily.
Okay.
Thanks.
Judge, I'm sorry, I didn't address the case I had on your docket for this morning.
Okay.
Last name is Gutierrez Del Bon. First name is Cristo Bao. That is a DWI case. The state is formally offering a time served this morning. I will plead that case.
It's 92 days. If you want
Yeah,
more
I-
time, you can have it.
I-
It's, yeah,
But yeah, we will.
take your time. No rush. Josh. Okay. Where is she? Miss Brown, come up. Are you taking any medication, man? What do you take? Guys, keep it down, please. Do you take 1, 2? How many do you take? Take 10. Wow. What happens when you don't? It seems to me that when you take it, good things happen, right? That's the idea, right? Because what happens a lot of times when people take medication like this, they start feeling good, They come to the conclusion, hey, I don't need this anymore. I feel great. Everything's going well. I don't need it anymore. They stop taking it and things spiral out of control again. That's the wrong thing to do. Just keep taking it. When this happened, had you missed a dose?
We're
Okay,
glad you're
you
here,
can't.
Ree.
I am now making that also as a condition of your bond, that you must take all prescribed medication. And if you don't, then it will give us cause to revoke your bond and put you in jail. And then we'll administer the medication in jail. So we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. That depends on you. What else are you doing with your life? Are you in high school? Wonderful. What's going to happen with your life now? That's great. Have you applied? Are you in, or what's going on with that?
Kind of find out where she's gonna be at and starting the process.
Are you allowed to work? Do you have a job? Perhaps you should do something. When you have too much time on your hands, self-destructive things start happening. It's good to either, have a job, get in school, something that get your brain to move and to think and get yourself to do things. It occupies your time, you learn, and you might even make some money from it. So you need to find something to do, but just besides sit and vegetate at home. When is the last time you were in school?
I'm sorry, Kelly.
So did you just graduate from high school? Great. Okay. We need to make a plan on how to move forward. You need something to do with your life. I think school's great. The more school you do, the better your life's going to be. You'll earn more. You'll have more knowledge. That's what you should do, in my opinion. Now, you don't have to do it. Perhaps get a job. But something has to happen. I'm going to set your case off a couple of weeks. I want you to contemplate and think about what you want to do these next couple years of your life. Do you want to go to school, or do you want to get a job? But I want you to find something to do, not just sit in the home and do nothing. That's not productive. When you come back here in a couple of weeks, I want to know what you're doing and what plan that you've set in motion. If you haven't done anything, then you and I are going to create a plan by ourselves of what to do. Do you understand? Okay, you've got 2 weeks. I want you back here in 2 weeks, and I want to see that you're continuing to take medication. Do you have any questions? Okay, once you get on the straight and narrow, and that I know you're being productive, I will start waiving your appearance little by little so you don't have to come to court. But up to get to that point, I need to know that you're doing something with your life and not just sitting in a couch watching TV all day. All right? Okay, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, Josh. She must sign conditions before she's allowed to leave them.
We made it, guys. We made it through. Jury selection. Opening statements. Tomorrow, we get to see the witnesses, which is pretty cool. And no, we won't. We won't finish tomorrow. But I don't know. So the one doctor that they're calling 2 doctors next. Okay, one, some guy's just going to read the deposition that they had in the trial for who was at fault, and the other guy is coming in, and they're complete opposites. So the one guy, he's not there, but I can hear his testimony. The other guy, he's there, but they don't in the video, but they don't play, like, they show him speaking, but there's no audio for his whole testimony. So we're only gonna hear one guy, and we're not gonna see the second guy, because there's no audio. I'll show you him sitting there talking for a second just so that you see what I'm talking about. But happy birthday, Nathan. Hold on. Who is Nathan? Where is Nathan? Oh my gosh, it's Charlotte. Charlotte has a boy, 18. Oh boy, Charlotte. Happy birthday, Nathan. Nathan, knock it off. Whatever you're doing, right now. Knock it off. Listen to your mother and knock it off. You're being stupid. You're going to ruin your life. You made it this far. Don't ruin your life. Knock it off. Knock it off. Show some self control, like Judge Fleischer says. Thanks, Charlotte. Charlotte, I'm so sorry. I feel for you, girlfriend. Knock it off. Yeah, I love when people have birthdays. I love when people log into YouTube and say and see someone from Japan, South Africa, Ireland, Canada, Australia, Michigan, Texas say, "Hey, happy birthday." Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And then they can go to their friends and they say, "Look, look, look, South Africa, they just wished me a happy birthday." Right? See? England, England, Atlanta, peaches. I can't help it. All I think about when I think of Georgia is peaches. I can't help it. Maybe my wires are crossed. I don't know. Oh, South Dakota, I have so many haha, but it was kind of boring, Chris. I have so many haha saved, but it's kind of boring. But I'm gonna play it for you tomorrow. Oh no, I'm gonna play it for you soon anyway because you're from South Dakota. You deserve it. Michigan, Finland. See, who in the world would have thought a year ago that someone from Finland was gonna say happy birthday to them and mean it? Like Ardo says that stuff from his chest. He means it. When he gives out the roses and the hearts and everything, he means it. So birthdays are great, and it only takes a second, and it's free. UK. Now I need fish and chips, Dave. Thanks. I was going along great with my dinner. Not gonna say anything. I can't. Just fun fact for anybody watching. Cows run way faster than you do. They always will. Legal fiction. I know you think you're fast. I know you do. Don't mess with a cow because you're not that fast. And they're not nice. They're not cuddly. Cows are fast. Always remember that. When you think of fast, you have cheetah, you have cow. Always think of the cow. Always. It'll just make your life a little better. Um, seriously though, seriously, Dave, do you eat black pudding? Do you really? I want to know the very last time you ate black pudding. Please. I just want to know. Fozzie, I'm with you on this one. Are you happy now? I am on your side. I am completely on your side on this one. I'm waiting because I need to know. Okay, I've never actually tasted it. I just yesterday. I don't know if I can. No, I'm gonna stay with Fozzie on this one. I'm gonna let him be right. For once, Fozzie's right, and I'm wrong. Not all food is good. Okay, well, tell him I said knock it off. Yep. All right, guys. It's nope, nope. I started that conversation. I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I did that. I would love to try a Yorkshire pudding. I feel like I can make one easy. I feel like I can make one. I see the recipe and everything. First off, I, how would I know if it's right? I've never tasted it. And second off, I feel like American Yorkshire pudding is just not right. Like they don't go together. This has to be a UK thing. Llama girl, heck no, I won't do it. I won't I won't do it. Oh, Lisa, I'm so happy you came today. You don't know how much we needed a llama in here. You have no idea. Yeah, I can make pancake batter in my sleep. 2 minutes tops, because if you overmix it, you ruin it. Yorkshire pudding? Are we talking about Yorkshire pudding in Australia? No. Nope. No, no. Stop stealing stuff. We're not going to steal Yorkshire pudding. You shouldn't either. Let them have it. They earned it. They can keep the black pudding too. You have your Vegemite that you can be proud of, and your shrimp on the Barbie, and your Fosters. Rebecca, have you ever drank in a Foster ever? CJ, have you ever picked up a Foster, you know, the big cans, and drank one? And Shannon. The only thing I can think of with you is liquor. Jameson, Guinness. Oh, Fozzie, you don't even know how close I am. You don't even know how close I am. You don't even know what I did this week. Oh, I just took a huge step forward this week. Oh, I can't wait, guys. Can't wait. Can't wait. Can't wait. Anyway, lots of things going on. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. We're gonna have fun tomorrow because I think I really do. You guys are either gonna be bored out of your brains or you're gonna like it. I really think you're gonna like it. I mean, it's not hilarious. It's not Karen shouting. It's just court and it's interesting. What time? Don't start with me, Fozzie. What time? I'm gonna be here at 4:30-ish a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ish. Ish means before or after a little bit. That's what time. So I'm gonna put my outro on. Guys, thank you so much for coming out.
Got these lights that cause digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late at night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Straight tales waiting to the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes near a sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. With each stream, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm.